Welcome to Kevin Dale Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be doing an in-depth review of the new AD100 Pro II from Godox. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Dale Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. For all of you who are back to Kevin Dale Photography, welcome back. And for all of you where this is your first time here at the beginning of every episode, I ask for donations too big. But to the subject of today's episode, I've owned the original Godox AD100 for a few years now. Its compact size was always its biggest selling point, but it definitely wasn't perfect. The original had a strange color cast that forced me to install a pink gel into the Fresnel, which I'm sure voided the warranty. And ever since I installed that gel, the light has a faint burning smell every time I use it. I never got around to reviewing this version, but consider this my short, honest summary. Now, Godox has released a new version, and I finally carved out time to review it. This is the AD100 Pro II. Let's talk about what they actually improved. First, the battery gets a major upgrade. The capacity jumps from 2600 milliampere hours to 3300 milliampere hours, increasing full power flashes from 360 to 490 full power shots on a single charge. A 130 shot boost is no small improvement. Thermal management has also been enhanced. Godox claims the Pro II can deliver double the number of full power flashes before overheating. The original was rated at 30 to 60, and the newer model bumps that up from 60 to 100. The AD100 Pro II also gets the updated Godox interface, cleaner, brighter, and easier to read, with the new color-coded group system that matches the colors on the newer Godox triggers. A very welcome change indeed. And finally, the modeling lamp jumps from 1 watt to 5 watts. As a portrait photographer who likes to see what I'm about to shoot, I'm very curious to see how much of a difference that makes in real-world use. And comparing these guys side by side, I will say that this newer one is ever so slightly taller. But even though the newer one is a tiny bit longer, I am noticing that my skins from my original AD100 fit on this just fine. So nothing to worry about there. All of this looks great on paper, but now it's time to see how this performs out in the real world. None of it matters if it doesn't translate to real world success. So let's take this newest edition of the AD100 series out into the field and test it on some shoots. But first, let's talk about the specs. The Godox AD100 Pro II is a 100 watt second 2.4 GHz flash strobe. It has a battery life of 490 shots at full power on a single charge. It has a recycle time of 1.5 seconds at full power. Its power range is 9 stops. It has built-in TTL and HSS with a max sync speed of 1/8000th of a second. It supports 32 channels and 16 groups with color coding capabilities. It comes with both a mounting hardware bracket and a carrying case. It comes with a lithium-ion battery included with a built-in USB-C charging port. It has a built-in 5-watt modeling lamp. Its dimensions are 4.8 by 2.99 by 2.99 inches or 122.2 by 75.9 by 75.9 millimeters. It comes in at a weight of 1.2 pounds or 564 grams, and it comes in at a street price of $299 US. Okay, so it's the first 100-degree day of the summer here in Austin, Texas. This is a tiny flash. It has
some ventilation. They claim it has better cooling. So I'm gonna use it outdoors right before golden hour where it's over 100 degrees. I'm going to be shooting in HSS because it's less efficient in HSS, and I want to see how it varies. I want to see how the recycle time behaves in these conditions. I want to see if it kind of shuts down from a thermal standpoint. And so I'm going to put this guy through his paces. I'm going to shoot him with an Angler softbox. I don't typically like to shoot soft light when it's hard light outside, but I know a lot of you off-camera flash people probably are curious how it performs in that way. Without further ado, let's test out this Godox AD100 Pro II.
Alright, so at regular intervals, you can see that the AD100 Pro II held its own in the Texas heat, and you can see the difference it makes without the flash, and with the flash, it definitely makes the images pop a little more. But let's take this guy into a faster paced environment.
All right, let's do a shoot with this guy in my studio now. Let's use him as a key light for some headshots. He's already proven himself outdoors, but let's see how that recycle time holds up in a studio environment where I'm stopped down and need a little bit more power to compensate for that aperture being stopped down.
So as you can see right here, it did a fantastic job in the studio creating images. However, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Let's go back to my YouTube studio and let's talk about what I liked and didn't like about this unit. Okay, I've used this AD100 Pro II in a variety of scenarios. I own the first version, so I have a pretty good idea of what I have here. Let's first talk about the cons. There really weren't many about this product, but one thing I found to be silly was the marketing. Both Godox and their competitor, Neewer, clearly hired the exact same company to do their marketing. Don't believe me? Check out this side by side. Now, is that a con of the product? No, I just find it to be kind of funny, so I decided to include it in my review. Both products came out around the same time, so I don't know who gets to claim credit, but the marketing company probably got paid twice to essentially make the same promo video for two companies. So the lesson here is work smarter, not harder. I think from a price standpoint, the market is starting to catch up to Godox. Neewer makes this 120 watt fixture, the Q120. It's a little larger and a little heavier, but it's close to half the price. It's also compatible with Godox triggers, so while there are a lot of pros I will discuss that make this strobe a great addition to many of your kits, the fact that there are almost comparable options for half the cost means that I'm probably not going to put value under the pros for the AD100 anymore. It's still awesome, but there appear to be better values on the market. The only real-world con I experienced was the thermal management. They say it improved with this version, but as you can see with the evidence here, I shot the light at the same setting during this studio session, and as the session went on, you can see more blank shots developing because the light was getting hotter and the recycle time was getting longer. This was in a 72-degree air-conditioned studio at 1/4 power, and I was shooting at f5.6 at ISO 500. And where you see a lot of these blank shots, the recycle time was pushing upwards of 4 seconds. So, while Godox has claimed improved thermal management, my real-world experience shows me that okay, maybe they improved the thermal management, but it's still not good enough to keep up with a professional modeling session where the model is flow posing. And remember, I was doing that at 1/4 power, not full power. So as a result, I took this light out of the mix and went up to a 400 watt second strobe, which kept up beautifully. Now, I think a lot of you will use this outdoors and your shots will be several seconds apart, so it really comes down to how you plan to use it. But during a fast-paced fashion studio shoot, it wasn't fast enough for me at 1/4 power. Alright, those were really the only things that negatively stood out to me about this light. Now, let's talk about the several things that I liked. The battery life is a pro. 490 full power flashes from something that is essentially the size of a can of soda. That is very impressive. This is a better stat than the previous version, so for some of you, it may be worth the upgrade. The battery has USB-C charging built into it, and the port faces outward, which gives you the option to charge the battery while it's still inserted into the fixture. But you also have the option to take the battery out and charge it via USB-C. I like the 5-watt modeling lamp upgrade. I did not like the 1-watt lamp on the original. It wasn't bright enough. 5 watts isn't amazing, but it's definitely a lot better than 1 watt, and for a fixture this size is absolutely impressive. Speaking of size, this light is the size of a can of soda. It's basically the size of a budget full frame lens, and therefore you can put it in one of your lens compartments in your bag. For a lot of you, that means you don't have to bring a separate carrying case for this light. And speaking of carrying cases, this light comes with a robust zippered hardshell carrying case. So even though I don't use it because I like to store this lens in a compartment in my main bag, you do get a carrying case for the price. Ease of use is another pro. The screen is easy to read, the menus are easy to navigate. They expanded the new version from 5 to 16 groups, which are also color-coded. That's definitely an improvement and a pro over the original. Even though I ran into some thermal issues, the overall power output is still a genuine pro. I shot the light outdoors without a hard reflector, and it was strong enough to expose my subject brighter than the ambient environment. That's a good thing. It meant I could dial the power back a bit and get better performance. I also shot those outdoor tests in HSS mode, and the exposure was impressively consistent. I also want to highlight the quality of light. The original AD100 had a noticeable green cast, and I always had to gel it to correct the shift. The Pro II shows clear improvement in color accuracy, and the images it produced looked professional, as you can see right here. The colors pop, the exposures are consistent, and overall the light quality earns positive marks from me. So, should you purchase this light? Well, there are meaningful improvements over the original. If you don't own either version and you're in the market, get the new one. The price is the same and the upgrades make it a no-brainer. Even if you do own the original, you might consider selling it and upgrading. The modeling lamp is significantly better. I really disliked the original one. The color accuracy was improved. I also appreciated the USB-C that was built into the battery. There's also the improvement of color-coded groups and the brighter, easier to read screen. Personally, I plan to retire my original unit after this review because I just don't have a reason to keep it anymore. The real question is whether or not you should get the Neewer Q120 instead. It's a bit brighter, but also a bit larger and a bit heavier. The AD100 does have that little notch built in, and the Neewer does not. This little notch actually allows you to lock in certain types of softboxes a little better to give it an added layer of protection. But the Neewer is compatible with Godox triggers and costs about half the price of this AD100 Pro II. For many of you, getting 2 lights for the price of 1 is going to be very tempting. Ultimately, only you can decide which trade-offs matter most. If you're interested in getting the AD100 Pro II, I'll leave a link in the description below. That does it for today's episode. Did you get the AD100 Pro II from Godox? How are you liking it? Tell me about it in the comments below. Did you go with the Neewer Q120 instead? Or did you go with something else instead? Tell me about that in the comments below. And if you're a fan of this channel, I humbly ask you to click the subscribe button below. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.